So the question was, are you willing to do whatever it takes? When you feel some of the boundaries are ridiculous, just remember it's because of what you've done. What boundaries end up doing gives our wife, or those that we've offended, a kind of like a milestone in our progress. And 2 years into it, Jane says, you're the same, still selfish, arrogant, prideful man that you always were. Again, because she never saw me commit adultery. But she did see the selfishness, she did see the pride, she did see the hypocrisy. So those are the things that she said to me, you haven't changed. And I remember when she said that, I took out the list. I said, what? I said, I'm no longer doing this, I'm no longer doing that, now I'm doing this, now I'm doing that. But in reality, the root causes were still there. I was still being selfish, I was still being prideful, I was still being a hypocrite. One of the things that helps us, I think, to move forward and for our wives or those that we've offended, that they see those milestones in our lives that we're moving forward, are boundaries. It's a set boundary that can help bring safety, security, and build trust. And one of the things that we ask is, what will make you feel safe? What did Jane need? Because there was nothing. When I came clean with Jane, when I confessed, nothing that guaranteed her that I was gonna change. Like it says here, put it on paper. One of those things that we were able to put on paper, she said things like, start wearing your wedding band. Things like don't have lunches with the secretaries or anybody else, by yourself. Okay, stop that. One of the things we agreed after coming clean is like anything that comes to your mind, bring it to the open. Okay. So we started setting boundaries like that, things that probably should have been in place, from the time we got married, but sadly they weren't. But we started doing that. We started putting those boundaries. I asked her, hey, what do you need me to see? And some of those boundaries were self-imposed. One of the things boundaries that Jane asked me to do is stop drinking coffee. Why coffee? Because coffee was a thing that I enjoyed with the other women. I remember going through the headaches and the uncomfortability. You're uncomfortable not drinking coffee, and I probably, now I'm allowed to drink coffee. The boundary has been lifted. But it was simple, small little things like that, but also big things. One of the things that Jane says is, I want you to sell the house. I was like, sell the house? I mean, things happen in the house, that should have never happened. I, brought her into the house. Stuff happened in my house. Again, I had to file my bed. So we got a new bedroom, but then she said, I want you to sell the house. I fought that one. I'm like, sell the house? I love my house. I love the neighborhood. We have a nice house. We got it for a good price. I'm not selling. We have been renovating it. I said, no, we're not. Nope, I'm not selling. I remember talking to Paul and Jenny about it. So the question was, are you willing to do whatever it takes? Because I want to leave. I want out of this house. I want out of this house. But God, we couldn't sell it. We never sold it. We're still there. But she saw a man that was willing to do whatever it takes. Jane says, okay, fine, we're going to stay here. Now you're going to renovate it to keep it, because we renovated to sell it. So we're going to renovate it to keep it. I said, okay. We had just finished renovation. We started renovation again. She was able to see someone that was willing to do whatever it takes. And that helped us in our progress, in our connection, and for her to see that, yes, I was changing. There was no guarantee to Jane that I was changing. Unless she started seeing those milestones in my life. Okay, Ray's keeping the boundary. And also, what happens when you break the boundary? I remember I found myself at a job meeting. We're eating. Hey, where everybody's going? All right, let's go here, let's go there. I end up at a Chinese place with people. Everybody walks away. I'm there with the secretary by myself. As a boundary, I'm like, oh man. All right, I was a coward. I didn't walk away from it. I stayed, I ate, whatever, went home, confessed to Jane. She was pissed off. Another time, I remember, same thing. It was my supervisor, our secretary, and myself. We were going to go after a meeting to go eat. Everybody had a different car. We're all driving there. My supervisor called me, Harry, I can't make it. I got to go to a meeting. I said, okay. I can't go to. So in my mind, I'm thinking, I could do two things. Go and not tell Jane, call, ask permission from Jane, or respect the boundary. I called the secretary. I got been called to a meeting. I can't go. Sorry, I didn't go to the meeting. I said, I'm not going there. I had to travel with another secretary. I shared with her my story. You know, she knew my story. She never met Jane, but she knew everything about Jane. And I gave her, we have a business card for ministry that has Jane's number and my number. I said, here's my card. I said, if you ever see or if you feel that I've done anything inappropriate, will you please call my wife? You know, but again, but those were boundaries that they help our spouse or those that we've offended, that yes, we are moving forward in these things. We are changing. Those are the mile markers of our change. So it's important that you guys, and some of them are self-imposed. You know, some of the things Jane needed to see that I was doing. Other things, I remember I took on some boundaries on my own. One of the things I did, I went completely cold turkey on music. What started happening with me, every time I would hear a certain song, my mind would go back to what I was doing with this woman. So in order to clear my mind, I had to stop the music. And the agreement or the boundary was that every time I would hear something, I would have to tell Jane. We're in a car, we're at a party, we're somewhere, wherever. Hey Jane, that song reminds me of this. She would ask questions, we would talk about it, we would pray about it, you know, but that was part of the boundaries. So I did that, you know, but I realized we had to reintroduce music, and now Jane and I have our music. You know, if I hear those songs from before, they don't do what they used to do. Jane knew what she had seen, so she asked for those boundaries, and I knew what I had done, so I'm like, you know what, this is what I need in my life. Yeah, you just get complacent, you just get comfortable with, you know, your daily life. I just started watching whatever I wanted on TV. You know, I had all the apps on my phone, and on my tablet, you know, Netflix and Hulu, all of them. You know, so I'm like, all right, you know, watch whatever I want. You know, didn't hide it from Jane, didn't tell her neither. We have the same account, so she sees the history. One day she goes, what the hell is this? What are you watching? Why are you watching it? And no excuses. I said, I'm sorry. I said, you know what? And I said, I'll delete all the movie apps from my phone. And it's been, I think, about a year. I don't have any movie apps in my phone, you know. But the thing is, you know, you got those self-imposed boundaries. They need to see that we're willing to change, you know, take responsibility before we don't ask for forgiveness. You know, but that's the thing about boundaries. That's what they do. You know, we've had different boundaries throughout the years. You know, different people depending on where, you know, your wife or your, you know, depending on who you've offended, what they will be. But that's the things you got to listen. And it's not, you know, don't make our spouse the bad guy. You know, oh, I got to do this because you. No. Remember that those boundaries are upon you because of what you've done. You know, when I look like a fool because I can't go to lunch with the secretary, that's not on Jane, that's on me. You know, it's me. You know, another self-imposed boundary that I did with Jane, I would check, still do, by the way, you know, it's been 19 years and I still do. I check in with her when I get someplace and I check out with her when I get, you know, when I leave the place. Hey, I just got here, you know, so the boundaries, self-imposed boundaries, I check in. I say, hey, I'm here. I just finished, I'm going there. Hey, I'm here, I'm just finished, I'm going there. You know, and that's it. It was just now we're just part of a conversation. You're just part of it, you know. But again, those are the things that you guys got to remember, that, you know, that when you feel some of the boundaries are ridiculous, just remember it's because of what you've done. And my belief is that the one that has the most work, the more legwork in the process, is the perpetrator. In this case, me. I was the one that did the sin. I was the one that was committing adultery. Therefore, the burden is on me. You know, and one of the things that you got to remember also, that what the boundaries do is that they help the dynamic of the relationship. A lot of us that have fallen into, you know, sin and have messed up our marriages that way, whether it be through porn, masturbation, whether it be to adultery, whether it be through selfishness or whatever it might be, you know, we fix the trauma of the relationship. In my case, adultery, we fix the adultery, we stop the adultery. But you go back to the same dynamic and relationship you always had, so nothing's really changed. So one of the things we had to do with Jane, and I think part of the boundaries, is let's start doing things differently. I was just taking it easy, you know, because I figured we have a good marriage now, whatever. But no, we wanted to change the dynamic of our relationship. And that's kind of what boundaries do. They help you, you know, change the flow of the. Because if you continue in the same relationship, you might not ever end up in the same type of sin, but you'll definitely end up disconnected. You know, when there's things that you see impossible, pray for solution. You know, God, I think, as Mark said, there are consequences to our sin. You know, and just ask God to give you grace to go through those consequences, like my brother, what he went through, kind of, stuff that I went through, with the house and all these things that we went through. But those are the things, And again, it is your willingness to show your wife that you want to change. I think that's what the important things about the boundaries. Are you willing to change? Are you willing to say, yeah, I want to change? Yeah, and those are the things with self-imposed boundaries is, what is it that you need? Have you seen when they plant a new tree? They put 2 stakes next to it. They wire them up to make sure they're straight. But as the tree is growing, it comes to a point where it doesn't need the stakes anymore because now it's internal. If you look what the Bible says about the law, remember the law was given in tablets? The Bible says you no longer need this law. Why? Because now the law, under the new covenant in Jeremiah says, is written in your heart. So that which was eternal, the Bible says that the law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. Those boundaries, the Bible said, they're perfect. That's what the laws were. They're boundaries. They kept it within the limits. And the Bible says that converts the soul. But what happens under the new covenant now? That law is no longer external. Now it's internal. So it's there now. By God's grace, now we get it. It's an automatic heavenly download. It's cool. But now it's internal, those boundaries.